These are all the things that I wish I knew about. I wish someone would have told me all those years ago. Number one, you don't know it all. But the funny thing is, when you're younger, you've got this thing where you think that your style is the way, and your style will change, okay? You don't know everything about your gear. The gear that you've chosen is not the best. The brand of camera that you've got is not the best. Doesn't matter. You don't know it all. Leave that behind. It will slow you down. Keep an open mind in everything that you look at. The next one is a quick one and a simple one, and there are no excuses today. Just shoot RAW. If you've got like an X100V rangefinder style camera, obviously shoot JPEGs on that. That's part of the selling point of this camera. But if you're shooting a mirrorless DSLR, shoot RAWs. And I'll tell you why. It's because there are loads of tools available today that work with RAW images that I can't use on my old JPEGs. They just can't undo a lot of the stuff that's baked into the JPEG. Some of these are 15-year-old photos I wish I could process in the same way as I can now, and we don't know what's going to happen in 10, 20 years time. The one thing we can count on is just capturing the most amount of data is going to give you the best chance of those photos having a longer life. So shoot RAW or RAW plus JPEG, but just make sure you've got that RAW. The next tip is about composition, and you can learn much faster if you do it this way. Decide on your photo before you take the photo. Today, you can just burst out hundreds of photos. You can be like, oh, that's good, that's pretty good, that's pretty good, that's pretty good. But you're not processing the composition, you're not focusing on the composition. So when you feel like you're in a situation where you're gonna get a great shot, just look at the scene, look at what it is, and decide what you want to photograph, then take one photo, two photos, just to check you got focus. Then look at another one, take a photo, take a photo. I used to just fire off photos at a whole scene that I thought was great, but I wasn't processing the composition. I wasn't looking for the reason behind the photo. Decide on the photo you want to take, then take it. Decide on the next photo you want to take, then take it. The next point goes back to something I was just talking about, and it's just simply take less photos. You know, I'd come back from a trip with thousands of photos, and it takes up so much space. You upload it to Lightroom, it automatically uploads it to the cloud, and you then spending more money on storage. I could have simply taken less photos. I say this now because the other day I shot a lodge that I shot a few years ago, and I came back with about 700 photos last time. This time I came back with about 40 photos, maybe 50 or 60, but basically every single photo was sent to the client. There was a handful of other ones that were variations, but basically everything I took, I edited up and sent off to the client because I knew in that moment that that was the shot. I just took one. Committing to your composition means that the stakes are higher and you will learn faster, and those compositions should mean more to you. When I was younger, I used to just shoot f1.8 because I was like, well, I bought this new lens and it does 1.8, so that's better, isn't it? 1.8 is better than 2.8 or f4. So I've got loads of photos that I shot on a 35mm 1.2 where the nose is in focus but the eyes aren't, and the eyes are in focus or the nose isn't. But I used to shoot like that all the time because I was like, well, this lens was so expensive because it goes to 1.4 or 1.2 because it's better, because it's more expensive. That's not the case, okay? You can use that. You can absolutely use that shallow depth of field as a tool. Probably to sum all this up, if you have a lens that shoots at 1.8, just shoot at 2.8. No one will really care if it's f1.8, f2.8, unless you need the light, just shoot whatever. And that takes us to the next point, which is really composition is king. Composition transcends camera hacks, camera effects, edits, prime lenses, shallow depth of field. It transcends all of those things because it really is just simply, this is the image. How does it feel to look at? That's really what composition is. What am I supposed to be looking at? What is the story? What is the focus of the photo? But what does the scene tell me about the subject of the photo? All of these elements that are very hard to kind of conceptualize when you're starting out in photography. This isn't the kind of video that I can give loads of compositional advice. I can make those videos, but what I'm trying to tell you is if you're a beginner photographer, there is a whole world of technique that you will unlock one day. Maybe that's today, maybe that was last week, or maybe it's in a few years from now once you've got your head around some of the equipment that you've got. You will eventually see past all of the gear that you've got and understand that the frame of the photo and simply what appears to the viewer is what matters, and that's got nothing to do with the gear at all, I promise you. This next one is something I still need to learn, but I need to get in a time machine, go back to me 20 years ago and say, keep your lenses and sensor clean, boy. because still my photos are just filled with dust particles and stuff. It's even harder with mirrorless cameras because they just seem to attract dust, and it's really, really frustrating. But unless you want to spend hours and hours in Lightroom just clicking on the little bits of dust to get rid of them, and it seems to take forever in Lightroom, keep your lenses and sensor clean. Get into a habit of doing it. This one creeps up on a lot of photographers, okay? Over editing based on current trends. When I was starting in photography, do you know what? There was this slider. Oh my God, the clarity slider. It was phenomenal. All you needed to do, bring your photo into Lightroom, oof, all the way up to the top, clarity, full, contrast, half maybe. Now, I don't touch the clarity slider. It looks horrible to me. And sometimes I'll just pull it down a little bit just to calm down the photo, particularly if there's trees and things in it, or when I shoot in cabins a lot, some of the wood shapes and knots and things in the wood that can really come out with the clarity slider. But back then, oh my God, clarity, if it went up to 200, we'd have done it. That's not the case now, but there are still trends that are happening today. So I'm saying to myself all the way back then, don't over edit, focus on the photograph. And what is over editing? I would say that over editing is trying to save a bad composition with lots and lots of sliders. Now, you can do that, and you absolutely can do that. But if you find yourself over editing all the time, try and think about how you could fix that problem in camera, and then you'll be editing less and you'll become a better photographer. And the best way of becoming a better photographer is to shoot more. Take less photos, but shoot more stuff, shoot loads of things. We can watch as many YouTube videos like this one as you like. Going out and shooting more is the best way of learning more. Sometimes you'll watch a video and you'll remember this thing, and then you go out and you'll actually apply it, and that's it. Your photography has changed. You've improved forever because you applied this technique and you actually did it with your own camera in your own hands. And that only happens when you shoot more. And probably the most important point of all of it is enjoy it for the photography. Don't enjoy it for the metrics, for the follows, for the likes on social media. Enjoy it for the photography and accept where you are on the photography journey. I feel like I know where I am on the photography journey. I know what I've learned. I know that there's still much more to learn. And I know that there are things that I need to learn that I don't even know about yet. Some technique that maybe a studio portrait photographer is using all the time, but I've just never come across it. I think it's harder today because if someone has 1,000 bazillion followers, then they're great, obviously, aren't they? They're professionals. But normally that just means that they've had one short form content thing just blow up and gained, 50,000 followers or something. That doesn't mean that they're anywhere different on the journey, and it doesn't mean that you're any less because you don't have these numbers, or you don't have these followers, or you don't have a YouTube channel, whatever. None of that matters. Just accept where you are on the photography journey, and most importantly, enjoy the art form, enjoy learning this new creative skill. That's the most important thing. And if you're new here, this is all about photography education, and it's all about going out and actually taking photos. So if you want to learn more about photography, check out this video. And if you want to just come out on an adventure and experience me taking photos, probably check out this one next. Either way, I will see you there.